Writing in your diary?
It's not a diary. It's a journal.
What kind of journal?
None of your business. Did you call Cora's Cluckers?
Yeah, she remembers Neil Jenson. Said he never brought her any roosters.
She's sure?
Sounds sure. Matter of fact, she was away at the state fair on the day Jensen supposedly brought the bird in.
So he lied to the little woman, huh? Our victim had a questionable character.
Imagine you're a husband, and not the most responsible husband in the world.
That's quite an imaginative leap.
Your wife gives you a live rooster and tells you to take it by public transportation all the way to New Jersey to get rid of it. What do you do?
Chuck
I
it
sure
out
as hell don't take it all the way to Jersey. I dump it in the closest spot I can find and go catch a ball game.
Right. And there's only so many places you can take a live chicken if you're too squeamish to kill it. Huang's Live Poultry, 1521 Barry. Just 6 blocks from the Jensen house.
Well, let's check them out.
Yeah. Owns live poultry.
Farm animals in the middle of Brooklyn. I've lived in this city my whole life and it never ceases to surprise me.
Oh, we serve everyone here. We've got kosher slaughter for our Jewish clients, halal for the Muslims.
And if I'm in the mood for pork chops,
For that, we've got a Dominican butcher.
he covers all bases.
Mind if we ask you a few questions?
Okay, but be quick. The dinner rush is gonna start any minute.
Right. ID? Nah.
How many employees you got?
6, 3 in front, 3 in back.
You look into their backgrounds before you hire them?
They're all citizens, detective.
You sure about that?
Listen, I serve immigrant customers, so I hire immigrant workers. Good workers. Just because a guy wasn't born in this country, does that make him a murder suspect? That sounds like racial profiling to me.
Yeah, he was a bit on the ball there, wasn't he? Bit jumping the gun. His outburst was disproportionate to the offence. Yeah. Ah, got that wrong.
I don't
Should've
believe I
read
said
them
this
all.
was a murder investigation.
Well, what else would it be?
Yeah, well, they are homicide cops, I suppose.
This guy ever come in here?
No.
Look again.
Mr. Huang, I thought you said you serve everyone here. How can you be so sure you haven't served him?
Yeah, what I mean is everybody but wasps. His type usually like their meat wrapped in plastic.
What? God, it's a bit racist, this bloke, isn't he?
You slaughter your animals here on the premises?
Sure, naturally. Look, my client wants to come in, select an animal, and take home the meat the same afternoon.
Does your client generally want to watch the slaughter?
No, that's against policy. Our abattoir's a separate space in back.
Past the plastic curtain.
Correct.
Is it important to look into the abattoir? I should say so. Why is it important? If Hung doesn't want you to see what's back there, it must be worth seeing. An abattoir is a likely place for a knife fight. An abattoir is a fun place to spend a Saturday afternoon. An abattoir is likely a place to get a sample of avian blood. I think we'll get that. I don't like this bloke. He jumps the gun too much. He doesn't like the land he lives in or the people that surround him. I don't know. Something about him. Inspect the abattoir or get the business license. Let's do the
They
business
actually
license.
gave you a license to run a slaughterhouse in the city. It's not against code?
Of course I've got a license. I've been running this establishment for over 25 years, buddy. Check with the city if you don't believe me.
Well,
My
that
partner
chip should
doesn't
have
know
been
much
well
about
off your
slaughter,
shoulder by now, then.
except the human-on-human variety. We'd like to take a look inside your abattoir if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Out of the question.
Nope.
We're investigating a serious crime, Mr. Huang.
Yep.
And I'm running a business. I can't let you back there. It would violate health regulations.
We won't tell the inspector. Honest.
The answer is
You
no.
can't do
Not
that.
without a warrant.
Enter the abattoir anyway. No, you can't. It's important for the police to foster good No. Unless you get a warrant first, any evidence you find there will be inadmissible. It may be dangerous. If you search and fail to find anything, it will hurt the case. inadmissible if you find anything.
Hey, Mr. Wang.
One moment, please.
Hey, man. What are the cops doing in here? Gotta get out of here, man.
Double cops. Go on, get out. I'll take care of it.
Check out the
Did he know
Rolex.
there were... How did he know there were cops?
Sorry for the interruption. One of my butchers has a problem at home.
Mr. Huang, could I ask you where you got that watch?
This? It's just a knockoff. I got it from a guy on Fifth Avenue.
Mind if I take a closer look?
Because you
Now
know
look here.
knockoffs
Enough
are
with the
illegal
suspicious
too.
questions. I'm an American citizen and I got my rights.
God, I'm gonna
Sounds like
throw
a
that
no.
around. Well, that's a shame because now you bought up the Rolex thing, you probably won't see it again.
This guy's hiding something.
And you're basing that on...
He's wearing a Rolex. The victim's wife told us he was missing a Rolex, one he never took off.
So wearing a Rolex is now illegal.
He refused to let us check out the back room in his meat market.
Jensen had avian blood on him. That room's the best spot in the neighborhood to find dead birds. There's something back there he doesn't want us to see.
Yeah, dead
Spare me.
animals.
As it stands right now, there isn't enough evidence to suggest probable cause. Give me reason to believe that there was something worse than slaughter going on in that room, or you don't get a warrant. And no arrests unless you've got something physical to tie this guy to the victim.
Nina, 32, junior partner at McCormick and Preston. Wait a minute. Nina Haversham. She was one of the suspects in the preppy jogger case.
So?
Van Buren took us off that one.
Yeah, but remember that little speech he gave back in February? All detectives are encouraged to ask about crimes they're not currently investigating. It's all about spreading the widest possible net. Well, the case may be closed for now, but the net's still open.
Hey, well, happy fishing, partner.
Hey, you know that meat market sells cow skulls?
Now, I know that definitely isn't on your diet. Look what it says in the logs. 3 weeks ago Tuesday, we got a late-night complaint about noise coming from the meat market.
How late at night?
Aha.
1:45 a.m. Then, 2 weeks ago, also on Tuesday, the same noise complaint.
Let me guess. Same thing happened last Tuesday.
About 15 minutes before Neil Jenson was wounded. What do you think?
I think we've got our warrant.
I think we've got a secret fight club.
All right, then. But at least let me watch.
I'm sorry, it's against policy.
Ha ha.
Okay, well, we found our bird blood. I'm still not sure what else we're looking for.
Anything that'll tell us what was going on after hours Tuesday night, and
After
whether Neil
hours,
Jensen was in on
Tuesday
it.
night. Well, I don't think it was gambling, but... Right. Gambling, source of blood, curved blade, bloody blanket, possible murder weapon, oh, crumbs. The book.
Now we're
Evidence of
cooking.
gambling.
What's that?
A ledger. And I got a feeling these ain't sales of ground round in here. They look like bets.
Looks like NJ owes a bundle to EH.
E.H. Edward Huang.
Gambling debts. Right. Bloody
That's a hell of
blanket.
a lot of blood.
Could have come from a pig or something, I guess, but why would you wrap a pig in a blanket? I mean, a real pig in a real blanket.
Let's take it back to forensics.
Right. Aha. One of these.
Think this could be our murder weapon?
I don't think so.
Gonna test it to make sure. Ah, another one. Whoops.
This could do a guy in.
Sure, but not our guy.
No, as was stabbed. Whoa, lots of knives.
Van Buren said it was a short, curved blade.
Yep.
You want to search the garbage?
Hey, nothing
lots
I like better
of
than digging
stuff
through a
in
mound
there.
of chicken heads and feathers.
Okay. Ah, what's this?
Huh,
What'd you find?
No, it's all been cut
It's the
up.
carcass of a whole rooster. It's a big one, too. Why do you suppose they just throw it away?
Maybe it died of diphtheria.
Nah, it's all cut up.
Hmm. Why don't they just, butcher it? Curved blade. What's in there? Oh, nice.
Hey, look at this.
A short curved blade.
What do you want to bet it's a match for the murder weapon? Wonder what it is.
It's
Doesn't seem like anything a
they
butcher
should
would
put on
use.
the cockerel.
Wait,
Cockfights.
let me see that blade again.
Cockfighting.
I know what this is. It's
Gambling.
a gaff. They attach these to the claws of... Hey, Mr. Huang! I think you've got some explaining to do.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I got a lot of customers right now.
Nope.
We can talk out
Shut
there
up
if you'd
shop
rather. I'm
right
sure
now.
they'll be interested to hear about how you're running a cockfighting ring.
Ah, cockfighting, of course. Is that, kosher? What do you think, Ray? We got enough to arrest this guy?
Yeah, I say we cuff him for the murder of Neil Jenson.
Murder? Now, wait a minute, detectives. Hold everything.
Sure, it all hangs together. Jensen owed a gambling debt to Mr. Huang here.
Hey.
And when Jensen can't pay up,
Even if you
Huang
didn't murder
starts eyeing
him,
his
you should
Rolex.
never be a butcher again.
Neil, thanks for 10 wonderful years. Ellie,
You gotta believe me. I didn't
Ha.
kill him.
then who did?
Ricardo Guzman, I think.
Where can we find him?
He doesn't have a fixed address. Moves around from couch to couch.
Lock this
Take this
guy
guy
up.
in.
Wait, I got his cell number.
Lock
What
him
lock?
up.
I'm glad you know how to follow instructions, Mr. Huang, because we've got a little job for you.
Come on then.
Okay, Huang, you remember what we told you, and this ought to go down quick and painless.
He's gonna kill me, you know, when he finds out I'm working with the police.
By that time, he'll be in custody. That is, as long as you play it cool and take your cues from us.
Yeah?
Ricardo, it's Wang.
Hey, what's the matter, man? You sound funny.
So the cops are still here. So everything's peachy. So the cops questioned you and left.
Cops had me worked up, but they're gone.
The cops, they worked me over pretty hard.
But you didn't say nothing.
No, I held firm. They're gone now.
They find anything?
No. Be casual. Be overconfident. What should he say? Be casual, be nervous, be overconfident.
Not enough to arrest you.
Enough to make them suspicious, but not enough to get you in trouble, I think.
So what am I supposed to do, man? We got another fight coming Tuesday. You know I can't cancel it. I'm on the hook to Menendez. $5,000, man, and I'm broke.
I would say, tough luck! Suggest a new, better location. Be overconfident. Wouldn't that put him off being overconfident? But then he's a bit of a show-off anyway, isn't he?
He can go ahead with the fight.
No problem. Go ahead with the fight as scheduled.
Sounds risky to me, man. The cops.
They'll stay away, I guarantee it.
And how can you guarantee a thing like that?
Now, tell him you'll meet him later.
Let's meet up later once everything's squared away.
Where?
Push him to tell you where he is. Push him to meet at the shop. Neutral. Don't want to get stuck in that.
Somewhere by
shop.
Pulaski Bridge, 6 p.m.
That street corner. Over by the bodega and the pharmacy. On 21st by Pulaski Bridge. Around 6?
See, sounds like a plan. See you there.
You done good, Mr. Huang.
We'll take it from here.
Hi, Mr. Wang. No, you're not going home.
Wang, over here.
Sorry, Huang is indisposed at the moment. Ricardo Guzman, you are under arrest for the murder of Neil Jenson. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Knickers. There you go. I always meant to say that.
Mr. Guzman doesn't dispute the cockfighting charges. We're prepared to plead guilty on that one.
Está insultando la República Dominicana.
Let me. My client is not a murderer, Mr. McCoy. Mr. Jensen died as a result of an accident.
An accident?
He attempted to handle an armed bird, and he lost control of it.
Really?
Actually, it can be quite
Unbelievable.
feisty, but...
A man gets carved up like a side of beef. Guzman lets him slowly bleed to
much.
death, then dumps him on a doorstep and expects to walk away.
I checked with the Dominican consulate.
And?
He's wanted there for drug running and armed robbery.
Well, I want him here for murder.
Is it possible it really was an accident?
No.
Does it matter? Neil Jensen didn't have to die. Guzman had 2 hours to get help and he callously stood by.
That's
Murder
right.
2. Depraved indifference.
New York Superior Court. The defence must be desperate. They're putting Guzman on the stand. Oh no. Harlan Fitzpatrick is a good defence lawyer. He will try to make Guzman appear sympathetic, using a number of rhetoric tricks. Your job is to object when he gets out of line. Leading is when the defence attorney puts words to the defendant's mouth to help him make his case. You can often tell a leading statement because it ends with a question like, am I right? Or don't you mean? Asked and answered is when the lawyer gets the client to repeat an answer for dramatic effect. Listen closely for a repetition of things you've heard before.
Mr. Guzman, when did you first meet Neil Jensen?
Maybe a year ago, I guess.
Who initiated the relationship? You or him?
He did. I didn't want to have no part of him, man. Not at first. What I do, I gotta be careful who I let in. Can bring trouble, you know? Especially a white guy.
Mr. Jensen came to you with an offer, is that right?
Yeah, he had a bird, and he wanted me to help him raise it and fight it.
And at first you said no?
That's right.
Yes. Leading.
Objection, Your Honor! Speculation!
I don't see how that objection applies here. Overruled.
Damn it.
What convinced you to take Neil Jensen under your wing, as it were, in spite of your suspicions?
He knew cockfighting ain't how they make it out to be, you know?
It's a more civilized practice than people realize, you mean?
Leading.
Objection, leading.
Sustained. Strike that.
What sort of sentiments did Mr. Jensen express to you?
Well, like, cocking's a real sport. It takes dedication and discipline. And you know, it can teach you a lot about life if you let it.
So you agreed to keep the bird and help him raise it?
See, together we raised El Jefe, and together we conditioned him to fight. He was a good bird.
There's another trick, speculation. When a witness is allowed to theorise or imagine a scenario and present it as evidence. Defence may encourage this to make Neil Jensen look bad.
Why don't you tell us, in your own words, what happened on the night of Tuesday, May 5th?
Well, Neil come in that night really keyed up, man, like super keyed up. He was jumping all around. I think maybe he was on something.
Yes. Assuming facts not
I
in
object.
evidence.
Assuming facts not in evidence.
Are we listening to the same testimony? Overruled.
Go on.
Oh,
Well, he was excited, you know, because El Jefe was finally gonna fight. There were some other birds up first, but he couldn't sit and watch, man, pacing around, till his turn finally came. Okay, I tell him, I'm the handler. I'm experienced at this stuff. Let me do it.
Get the bird into the ring.
The pit, yeah. It could be dangerous, you know, especially with the long heel.
A long blade attached to the rooster's spur.
Right, but Neil wouldn't hear nothing I was saying, man. Being he was a rider, he had to do everything himself. Well, anyway, he's yelling about how he had to be the one to handle El Jefe. I told him don't. I ordered him even, but He really got in my face about it, man, so I had to back down. Then he went for the rooster, like he was going for a football or something. Grabbed it around the neck. You understand, this is a bird was being conditioned to fight. The bird goes crazy.
It attacked Neil Jenson. Naturally, you were horrified.
As we approach the part of the testimony where Guzman would describe Neil's wounds, be on the lookout for statements that will require medical training to back it up. These can be ejected on the grounds of no expert knowledge.
I made a grab for the bird and got it.
Putting yourself in considerable danger in the process, I imagine.
No,
But by the
let's get
time
rid
I
of
got
this
the
witness.
rooster
He's
under
doing my
control,
heading.
the damage was done.
I see.
He will
So
say
what
anything.
then?
He's guilty
What
of
did you
stuff,
do for
so...
him?
I wrap a blanket around him to try stop the bleeding, you know?
Did you think to take him to the hospital?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, but he told me not to. He wanted me to take him home.
Mr. Jensen asked you to take him home.
Mm-hmm. His wounds, I mean, he was cut up pretty bad, but not so bad as all that. He should have pulled through, no problem.
No. No.
You swore on the Bible you'd tell the truth, Mr. Guzman.
I'm telling the truth. I panicked maybe. You would have done the same, but I did what Neil asked me to do. What I thought would save his life.
That wouldn't
Your
save
witness,
his
Mr.
life.
McCoy.
You sure you're up for this? You seem to be off your game today.
I'm just getting warmed up.
Oh, no. I lost by 75. Wow.
Mr. Guzman,
The prosecution is ready to cross-examine Guzman. Focus on inconsistencies in the evidence and his callous disregard for Jensen. Stay away from tricky issues like his past life or the cultural bias against cockfighting. Right, let's say your time.
the incident in question occurred on the night of May 5th.
That's right. Maybe 1:45.
1:45. And you say you acted to save him?
Of course I acted. I tried to help him right there, and when I couldn't help him, I took him home, like he asked me to.
Oh, do you believe that? Yes, it is consistent.
You knew it was dangerous for Neil Jensen to handle his own rooster.
Sure, it was dangerous. When those birds are ready to fight, man, they're ready to fight.
Then why didn't you stop him?
I tried, man, but like I said, he wouldn't take no for an answer.
No, it doesn't contradict, unfortunately. Oh, Jeff testified earlier he planned to kill. No. Guzman said he forced Neil into the ring. No. Neil testified earlier that he tried to stop. Yes. Guzman testified earlier he tried to stop Neil. Ah. What's the problem? It didn't force him into the ring. He said he tried to stop him from getting in the ring. I think we're losing the jury though. Right, let's get on with this relationship with him.
Mr. Guzman, you took Mr. Jensen into your confidence, initiated him into your illegal activities. Knowing your new disciple was a writer, didn't you worry that he'd give the game away, expose your ring, and force you to shut down operations?
Well, sure I was worried, but he promised me he'd keep quiet. And he wouldn't write anything neither, unless I okayed it first.
And you trusted him?
Yeah, he respected me, man.
Yeah. course. By taking the cockerel and by getting in the ring. So why should he do anything else, you say?
Well, it doesn't seem like he respected you very much on the night he died. I mean, he defied you. He disobeyed your orders to stay away from the rooster.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Let's get back to those final moments, shall we? Maybe this time we can get the facts straight. You drove Neil Jenson home,
Like he asked me to.
and you dropped him off at the door. What time was that? 4 o'clock?
More like 2.
Did you stay with him till he was safely inside?
No.
No. You dumped him there and took off.
And he
Why,
sat for
Mr.
2 hours
Guzman?
on the
I
doorstep.
heard a baby crying as I was coming up the walk with Neil, and I saw a light turn on, so I knew she was up. I was sure she was gonna come down and get Neil.
Yes?
But I didn't want to have to be there and explain it all to her, you know?
No, I expect you didn't. No further questions.
Now's the time to put Ellie on the stand and let her talk about her husband. No reason to ask tough questions. Just have her recount the experience. Try to avoid the mention of Neil's shady nightlife.
Want to take this one, Abby?
The people call Ellie Jenson to the witness stand. Mrs. Jenson, tell us how you discovered your husband on the night in question.
Well, I heard a sort of a thunk coming from outside the front door.
Did it wake you up?
No, it wasn't loud enough for that, but luckily I was awake. Noah, my baby, had just waked me for his usual feeding.
That at least conforms to Mr. Guzman's testimony. What condition was your husband in when you found him?
It was horrible. He was covered in blood, and he had this look in his eyes like he knew he was dying. I kept saying, "Who did this to you? Who did this to you?" But all he could do was move his mouth. I think he was saying, "I'm sorry."
And there was nobody with him?
Nobody. He was all alone.
Now this is crucial. Mrs. Jenson, what time did you discover your husband?
Just before 4 a.m.
You're absolutely
Wow,
sure?
she went from
Yes.
crying to...
I glanced at the clock when my baby cried at 5 minutes too. He always wakes up at the same time.
went from
Thank you,
crying to
Mrs.
steady.
Jenson.
So the body was dumped at 2, and she opened the door at 4.
So you finally come
Really?
around, eh, Harlan?
If that's the way you want to
Sure,
look
he
at
didn't
it,
knock
Jack.
on the door at 2,
Great. What are you looking
and she
for?
left him to
No
die
jail
for
time.
2 hours.
Mr. Guzman pays a fine and does 12 months probation.
Come on, he killed a man.
Actually, a rooster killed a man.
He sat idly by for 2 hours and let an innocent man bleed to death.
Are you sure? Charge of murder applies if you feel Guzman acted as premeditated and calculated fashion when he let Blind. Charge of manslaughter applies if your Guzman acted recklessly and therefore caused him to die, but didn't directly plan that outcome.
Man 1, he served 7 to 15 years plus a $2,500 fine for cockfighting. How about it, Mr. Guzman?
Why would we agree to that? We'll see you at court, Jack.
Yeah.
Ricardo Guzman will never win any good citizenship awards. He's a devotee of cockfighting, a sport which many, no doubt, many of you here in the jury consider barbaric and inhumane. But it's important to appreciate that the defendant is the product of another culture. We mustn't let cultural differences blind us to his essential humanity. Consider Mr. Guzman's
it's illegal
relationship
in that
with the
country,
deceased.
just to
He
do it,
agreed
no
to
matter what
act
your
as
culture
Mr.
is.
Jensen's mentor, not for money, but through mutual love of the sport. For many months, he patiently worked with him and trained with him. He became Mr. Jensen's mentor and his friend. And when the accident occurred, Mr. Guzman reacted as a friend would react, with care and concern. Perhaps he made the wrong decision in taking the injured man home. Perhaps you or I would have gone straight to the hospital. But remember, Mr. Guzman is an immigrant, an outsider, with an outsider's suspicion of big institutions. My client has
been
lost
in America,
a friend,
this
perhaps as
outsider?
the result of his own mistake. And for that, he will suffer for the rest of his life. But does he deserve to go to jail? Good people of the jury, I beg you, let's not compound one error with another.
Oh dear, what terrible. Playing the innocent victim card and somebody else is dead. Sway the jury with the facts, stay away from topics that cultural sensitivities. The 2-hour gap.
2 hours. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. 2 hours.
That's a long
2
time.
hours between the time Neil Jenson was stabbed repeatedly, and the time the accused saw fit to do something about it. 2 hours of agony, of Mr. Jenson bleeding, losing strength, crying for help, for mercy. But there was no mercy, not from Ricardo Guzman.
Mm-hmm.
The accused knew Neil Jenson well enough to understand the limits of their trust.
Yeah.
If the victim had survived the attack, there would have been questions. The story would have come out. Guzman's illegal operation would have been exposed. He would have faced prosecution, or loss of livelihood at the very least. He had a lot to lose, and a lot to gain by doing nothing. The legal community has a phrase for this behavior: depraved indifference. None of us was in the slaughterhouse with Ricardo Guzman and Neil Jenson. None of us knows exactly what was going on through the mind of the accused as he watched his cohort writhe on the floor. We may never know exactly why he stood and waited. But we aren't being asked to judge Mr. Guzman's motivations. We're being asked to judge his acts, or in this case, his failure to act.
Yeah.
And in this case, I think you'll agree. Inaction speaks louder than words.
Has the jury come to a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
In the charge of murder in the second degree, how do you find?
We find the defendant, Ricardo Guzman, not guilty.
They beat us. I can't believe they beat us.
Next time, we wear the longer knives.
How about we grab lunch? You still on that diet?
Nope. Ditched the health food. And, Julia.
Right on schedule.
And I feel great.
Any preferences?
Nope, I'm up for anything. Except chicken. For some reason that doesn't appeal to me today.
Oh dear. Ah, good game. See you next time.